We're here at 12 West 5th Street in Barnegat Light. This project is getting ready to wrap up after just about a year in the construction process. We just passed all of our final inspections. We were here, we were present. Ken, our site superintendent and construction manager, was here, walked with the inspector, went through everything from soup to nuts to get our final inspections. I think that's super important to build that rapport with your local construction officials, something that we truly value. It's part of our core values in a build, in a renovation, whether the job is small or large. Another thing that I want to touch on that I think is super important, I do get some feedback from people as well as questions asking us why we put so much into our spec builds and that it's not necessary, you're doing too much. And my answer to that is, for the last 20 years, we have built a reputation solely based on quality and service. And you don't have to use super high-end materials on every project. You can use a good quality mid-grade material, but the quality and the installation that goes into that product is equally important. We are not willing to cut corners. It's not something that anyone on our team possesses the ability to do. It's a lot easier for us to just use high quality products, just use high quality tradespeople from start to finish. Another item is super important on our builds, especially here in Long Beach Island or on the coast where you have a lot of wind, rain, and elements, is our exterior. You'll always hear me talk about blue skinning the house after the sheathing is complete. Our soffit and fascia assembly, always routed out, screwed, not finished nails. And a telltale sign of that is a few years after the house is built. If you go and you drive by a house that was built a couple of years ago, that's been subjected to a lot of wind, a lot of rain, a lot of temperature swings from hot and cold, you're gonna see what holds up for a lifetime and what was built to last for a couple of years. Another thing that's super important to us is the quality of the construction of the home. We only use top quality subcontractors. The construction of the home is paramount, starting with your foundation, whether that be poured concrete, CMU block. In this case, it's piles. There are footings as well in some areas. I was having a conversation just yesterday with a friend of mine who had shown me some photos of another build, not ours, asking me what I thought about the way that the footing and the post were secured. And my comment to him was, that's completely unacceptable. And that goes down to who you are using. We only use the best tradespeople. That transcends into the quality of the build. How long have they been in business? How long have they been doing it? What your relationship is with them. The feedback that you're going to get from them. Just because you have a set of construction drawings doesn't mean that that project is even ready to start. This is one item that in the pre-construction process, in the planning process, in the design process, that you need to be having conversations about. Not only with your employees, with your licensed trades, with your end client, if there is one involved. Everybody needs to be talking about it, what they see, what they identify. In this particular build, we wanted to maximize square footage and space in the building envelope. So when we were designing the house, we needed to take into account, well, how are we gonna heat and cool this large of a house? The easy solution would have been 2 zones. The best solution was to put 3 zones in. So we opted for 3. Would it have been cheaper to do 2? Yes. However, you get a hot streak, you get a cold spell. I don't want whoever buys this house, they're not a client of ours yet, but they're going to be. And whoever buys this house, I wouldn't want to be here in the middle of August or the middle of July and be uncomfortable because it's too hot, because the builder saved $15,000 and decided to eliminate what should have been a 3rd zone. So when we sat down, we brought in our HVAC contractor, Nick from NJP Mechanical. He's absolutely awesome. And we had a conversation with Nick. Nick, what does this house need? Okay, let's design the 3 zones. That posed the question of the framing plan, because in order to get all of the ductwork into the space, this house, because of the height restrictions and because of the way it was designed, doesn't have much attic space. So we had to design the framing plan around the HVAC system, which in turn, the other plumbing and electrical all has to be designed around that. So it's a domino effect. When you're early on in the construction phases of planning, even though you may have conceptuals, you have to be thinking about how that runs down the line. Another item in the build process for us, I happen to really like the look of custom railings on the exterior. There's nothing wrong with other options, but I like the long runs. I don't like to see items pieced together. In my opinion, those are just areas for them to fail, especially with the wind, the rain, the hot and cold. Here we did fully custom welded aluminum rail system. It was made locally by Will Tyndall Fabrications. He did an excellent job, locally powder coated it as well. It's gonna stand up to all of the elements. It's gonna be a longevity piece of this home. Another thing that, in talking about cost savings in a spec home, a lot of people have asked why we elected to put a gunite pool in. Well, in this area, you have really 2 options. You have a fiberglass pool or you have a gunite pool. The fiberglass pool probably would have saved us roughly $50,000. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a fiberglass pool. I prefer the look, the feel, the durability of a gunite pool, and that requires a certain level of craft to accomplish that. Somebody spending the budget number to buy this home, I believe that they are going to want and they are going to desire a heated saltwater gunite swimming pool. We happen to put one in here with a tanning ledge and a couple of other accoutrements that I would like if I were buying the house. And it's really important that for my team, when we build these spec homes with no end user, there's a fine line between predicting what you think the end buyer is going to want. And it may not be exactly what they want, but if they see the quality went into it, they're gonna appreciate it. On the inside of the house, all of the plumbing fixtures in this house are top quality. They're heavy, they're metal, they're not cheap. There is nothing wrong with home center plumbing fixtures. They have their place. However, in a $3.6 million house, you're not doing your client any service by providing them a $90 faucet. Down to the valves, every toilet in this home has a matching angle stop valve for the rest of the plumbing suite. It all matches, it's the same style, it's the same color. In my opinion, that's the way it should be. The level of detail and thought that we put into this house in the planning process shows in the finished product. Another thing that I want to talk about in the build process is the quality of the materials that you use. In this particular house, we decided that we wanted to go high-end on our countertop finishes. So there's a couple areas of the house that have Parisian blue, such as the kitchen. I believe it's in 2 bathrooms as well. I could be wrong, but there are quite a few bathrooms in this house. I think I'm right. I normally am. Anybody who knows me, they know that. So we did elect to go higher end. When you walk into the bathrooms, the rest of the kitchen, there are popular colors that you see everywhere, and they look fine, they look nice, they look great. But for us, we wanted to put a higher level of quartz throughout the entire home. The same goes for the light fixtures. We had a high budget. We spent the budget and a little more, but that's what we thought was the right fit for the job. We did not want to cheap out on light fixtures and have someone walk in and say to themselves, well, if they cheaped out on the light fixtures, what else did they cheap out on? All of the recessed lights in the home, we crammed as many as we could in here because I've never walked into a house after the fact and thought, gee, we should have reduced the amount of recessed lights that we put in this house. So we tastefully put them in locations where we believe they would add value and that the end client would absolutely love it. We chose to highlight some areas, a couple of tray ceilings. We did add some lighting too. And then in the kitchen, we chose to not ruin the look of our beautiful backsplash, and we chose to just put plug molding in underneath of the cabinets so that you don't see all of your outlets. For the trim package here and the interior millwork package, what our standard millwork package would be, we chose to take that to another level. So we chose to do a 2-piece baseboard with a 1x6 and an OG cap. It's more labor and it's more material, but it gives that substantial look that we were going for here. It would have been less expensive to do a standard 5 1/4 combo base. That's our standard millwork pack. Not a 3 1/4 colonial like guys are still putting in homes. That's not what I believe a home of this caliber should get. And we chose to do all of the wainscoting in the house the proper way. We chose to use a piece of backer board. We chose to then use the 1x and all of the OG to shadow box all the interior, and we chose to do most of the upstairs here along into the stairwell. It was the right look for this house. We did it in the downstairs powder room as well. Everything ties in together beautifully. Above our headers on the top floor here, above our beautiful Anderson sliding glass doors and windows in the kitchen, we chose to do a really nice 1x6 header with a matching crown molding above it. That was the look that we were going for. We planned all of these details out when we were in the planning stage of the project. We wanted to elevate our millwork package here. Another item in the build that is an area that we do elect to spend money on is our fireplace package. I spoke about it the other day on 11 2nd Ave. I was walking we had closed on that house last week. And when I was walking the buyer through that property for their final walkthrough, I explained to him that, hey, this gas fireplace that's here, it's not a $1,500 unit. It cost us $7,500 just for the unit itself, but it's built for the next 25 years. It's going to have the BTUs and the fan to actually heat the space that we put it in. It isn't for decoration. Here we chose to do an upgraded gas fireplace as well. It fits the overall feel and look of the home. Another item in our builds that we do the right way are tempered glass, 3/8 custom fabricated shower doors. That doesn't sound like a huge option. I've walked through some homes that the builder elects to leave them out. Why, I don't know, but in this particular build, everything, every bathroom, custom 3/8 templated for the space, and all of these doors have a factory coating. Everybody has a nightmare story about cleaning shower doors. It's only a couple $100 additional ad. So if you're already paying several $1,000s for a door, why would you not pay a few $100s to have it easy to clean for the next client, so that when they are cleaning it or their cleaning crew is cleaning it, they are not four-letter wording you to the moon and back on why did they build this house so cheap. Another area that we do elect to spend a few dollars more on is our appliance package. Here we do have a combination of Viking and other appliances. In our downstairs game room, multi-purpose room that's got the coffered ceiling in it, we chose to put a small wet bar in there, thinking that if the new buyer has either children, grandchildren, or there's a two-family scenario here, which is how we kind of built the house, that they have a sink, and then they also have a set of a 24-inch beverage fridge, but you can also use that as an auxiliary refrigerator. Would it have been cheaper to not put that in there? Of course. Would that be something that I would want if I was buying this house? Absolutely not. So we planned for it. We elected to use the same set of beverage fridges here in the kitchen, and that gives it a really nice finish and something that is going to work for either a multi-family scenario or an area where they've got children or grandchildren. Last but not least, going to go back to the exterior, and another item that we choose to do the way that we do it is our hardscape and landscape package. So we spent the money to put a beautiful gunite pool in. Shout out to Steve, Executive Pools. They're our go-to. We feel that they are the best pool contractor. They do top quality work. I've known Steve for a really long time. We happen to be friends outside of work. But the hardscape package that we chose to go with, we did a Teco block, really nice modern paver system here. We could have saved a few dollars and shrunk the square footage, as well as chosen to not do the huge driveway that we have on this big lot. Could have saved tens of thousands of dollars. I didn't think it fit the look we were trying to achieve, and there was no reason for me to do that. That also goes down to our irrigation. We have a full irrigation system here. It's something that a house of this caliber should have. We weren't going to save several $1,000s and cut the irrigation system out of it. You'll hear me often say the phrase "no corners cut" or no cut corners, and that is something that we truly believe in, myself and our entire team. I've had nothing but compliments from anyone who has shown this home, other homes that we've built. The comments have always come back that it's top level quality. So whether it's a $3.6 million spec, or it's a kitchen renovation, bathroom remodel, that is part of our core values, and no project that we do are we willing to cut corners or sacrifice quality. As we wrap this project up, and it is listed for sale with Ed Haynes, Haynes Realty. His office here on the island is handling this sale. Shout out to Ed. He's a phenomenal broker. If you're looking or in the market, I would not hesitate to recommend Ed or his team. They're first class. We have a big open house here next weekend. I'm looking forward to feedback, bringing it back to something that I touched on earlier in the video was our pricing and how a lot of people don't understand why we put so much into our specs. And I've consistently been a believer that if you build it, they will come. And in smaller price point scenarios, we've been able to deliver a really top level product for the right price. And we've done it multiple times. We believe that we can do it here in Barnegat Light. We're not willing to cut corners or compromise, and that does come with a price. And there's people who value it, and there are clientele, and there's people who don't value it, and that's fine too. There are plenty of builders and contractors out there who don't have the same core values that we do. So if you're looking to build new, renovate, whatever your project may be, reach out to us. We would really love to have a conversation with you. I really put an emphasis on our pre-construction phase where we vet out all of the unknowns. We completely de-risk the project. We spend a lot of time talking about design, the impact of the design, the cost of the design. What we identify are items that we may be able to change. We bring a lot of value. Myself, over 20 years in the business, my team, I don't want to date anybody, but they've got significantly more than that. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you soon.